Broadcasting with 50,000 watts of power high above Redwood City, California. Broadcasting from San Francisco. Reaching the whole West Coast and maybe even the Hawaiian Islands tonight. Live on YouTube and the KNBR app. This is Sports Phone KNBR. And that, my friends, is more like it. Dieter Kurtenbach hanging out with you until 11 p.m. Giants win 5-0. And 808 KNBR is the number. You got anything to say about this game? I can keep it pretty simple. One word analysis. Good. 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 Had they lost that game, we would have one hell of a show. We will endeavor, nevertheless, this evening, as we talk about this nice, solid, quality 5-0 win for the San Francisco Giants. They're back in the W category. And Kyle Harrison leading the way. We're going to get into Harrison. We're going to get into mid-afternoon Lamont. Hell, it's any time of the day Lamont Wade these days. And I want to look a little bit ahead to the rest of the series because the Giants now have a chance to get the first, a chance to win a damn series. Wouldn't that be a nice change? But let's lean in on Kyle Harrison. Exactly what you needed this evening. Was Kyle Harrison dominant? Hell no. Was he efficient? Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you are any pitcher, much less a young pitcher, 22 years old, heading into Coors Field, you got to have the mentality that Kyle Harrison has shown us night in, night out, his entire major league career. He was showing it at De La Salle. He was showing it in the minors. This is Kyle Harrison. It might not be the best stuff. He might not be the nastiest, but he's coming at you with a bad attitude. He is going to force you to make something happen. And when you're at Coors Field and, hey, all that great stuff I have, it's just not looking the same. The air is too thin. I can't get any slide on my slider. I can't get any sweep on my sweeper. My changeup is more of a, regular up. You need to have that kind of temperament. And Kyle Harrison, we got to be blunt about it. I know Hunter Pence loves the fastball. I'm not in love with the fastball. We talked about it last night. I'm not in love with the secondary stuff. We talked about that well before last night. We mentioned it a little bit last night as well, looking into this game. But you gotta love the bulldog. You gotta love the anger, the efficiency, the here it is, do something with it attitude that Kyle Harrison brings. And as he gets more and more into this league, and you know every year these guys are going and they're going to their pitching labs and they're finding another couple miles per hour of velo. They're finding an extra breaking ball. As he gets older, he's 22 years old. He's just going with what he's got. As he gets deeper and deeper into his career and the stuff gets better and better, at least you hope, that attitude paired with whatever's to come has a chance to be really special because you can't teach that kind of temperament. You can't go and say, hey, I want you to be ferocious. I want you to be a competitor. I want you to throw it all out there and let it go as it lies. Have some fearlessness. Don't be afraid of the repercussions. Give it your all. You can't teach that. You're begging for some guys to have just an ounce of it, and he's got it coming out of his ears. And when you're at Coors Field, that's exactly what you need because you're not going to have anything else. You're not going to have anything else. What Kyle Harrison had tonight was the right attitude, because he always does, and he looked at the situation, consciously or not, and said, I got a pretty good defense behind me. I got an offense that I'm going up against that I don't think they can do very much. Let's make something happen. Let's pound the zone. Let's go fastball, fastball, fastball all day, every day. And yeah, he only had 5 whiffs. Yeah, of his 21 outs, 19 went to the field. And some of them were pretty hard hit, if we're being honest. But when you got Jung Hoo Lee in center, Mike Yastrzemski in right, Matt Chapman and Nick Ahmed on the left side of your infield. And Thairo Estrada flashing the glove at second base, baby. Thairo Estrada might be the best second baseman in baseball right now, certainly in the National League. He has been marvelous. With the leather and the bats coming around, Thairo Estrada, you got yourself a player. When you got all that behind you, and you got the confidence that Kyle Harrison had to have been born with, you're going to have a pretty good performance at Coors Field. Because, again, these guys who are all stuff, they don't get to bring their stuff. They don't get to pack it for Colorado. It doesn't show up. It's about temperament. It's about that bulldog mentality. And it's about guys going out there and playing good defense behind you, trusting your teammates, playing complimentary baseball, if you will. Kyle Harrison was just what the doctor ordered for the San Francisco Giants tonight. And it's one of those games that it doesn't surprise me. It doesn't surprise me until you have to put in all the context. If we've watched Kyle Harrison, we know one thing about him. He's going to bring it. He's got a bad attitude on that mound. He's convinced he's the greatest pitcher who ever lived. I don't want to tell him he isn't. But, man, then you think about it and you go, this guy's 22 years old. And this is his first game at Coors, and he still has that? I'm telling you, that's his superpower. That fastball might only get to 93, 94. Don't care. He's going to throw it, and he's going to put it in the right spot. He was really good with his command today. Hyper efficient. The Rockies are up there. They knew the scouting report. They knew the game plan. This guy doesn't have great stuff. This is not somebody who's going to be bending the ball every which way, not someone who's going to run it up there at 99 on your fists. Let's go out there. He's going to throw the fastball. It's a fastball we can hit, or at least they thought. Let's go up there and be aggressive. And Kyle Harrison said, bring it. Come on. You want to be aggressive? Matt Chapman, Nick Ahmed, Jung-Hoo Lee, Thairo Estrada, Mike Yastrzemski. They got me. And they did. Hell of a game, hell of a team performance by the San Francisco Giants. And again, it's one of those things where I'm sure a lot of folks around baseball who don't watch the games, who are just going to jump into the StatCast box score. And I'll be honest, I'm sometimes one of them when it doesn't pertain to the Giants. They're not going to pick up those intangible things that we saw and heard on the diamond tonight. They're not going to understand that Kyle Harrison has a lot more to offer than just his stuff plus number, than just a 94-mile-per-hour fastball, which, hey, 10 years ago, we'd be talking about something incredible. Now it seems like everybody's pumping 99. I'm very, very impressed. I've been impressed. I stay impressed. That is the exact kind of pitching performance that you need to have at Coors Field. All attitude. Don't worry about the stuff. Trust your defense. Make something happen. Kyle Harrison made something happen tonight. The Giants have 2 wins on this road trip. Kyle Harrison and Kyle Harrison, baby. Attitude will get you a long way in this world. It'll definitely get you to the majors. When you got enough stuff, and Kyle Harrison certainly has enough stuff. I don't want to pretend like he's going up there like Kyle Hendricks or something, throwing eephus pitches. I couldn't hit him. That's for damn sure. Colorado Rockies could barely hit him tonight. But attitude's going to win you a lot of games when you're a starting pitcher. And the attitude of not only am I coming at you, do something with it. The attitude of I'm going deep in this game too. I was a little bit shocked that they pulled him after 7. I wanted to see if he could go for a Maddox. If you're not familiar with the Maddox, that's when you go shutout, a true shutout, complete game, and you do it in under 100 pitches. They call it a Maddox because that's what Greg Maddux did again and again and again. And you want to talk about stuff. Greg Maddux had some stuff. Oh, he only threw 91, 92. Did you see that thing move? That dude was front door, back door, up door. He was on the first floor, second floor, and third floor. He had a rooftop penthouse. And he was working in the basement at the same time. Greg Maddux was awesome. Kyle Harrison, no Greg Maddux, but, man, there's something here. There's something here. And there's part of me that keeps looking at it and going, when are the wheels going to fall off? We talked about it last night with Mark DeLucci on the show. If you haven't heard that interview, KNBR.com. We got all the podcast posts there. I talked about it. Are the wheels going to fall off with this guy? Because you look at some of the stuff, you look at some of the underlying metrics, and you go, I don't know if this is going to work. But again, the metrics can't tell you that this kid's got it. He's got it. And I should have never have doubted after his first major league start, he's out there just mowing dudes down. And he's just yelling in their face. 20 years old. Yeah, he's got something here. He's got something here, and I'm very excited to see where it goes for the rest of the season. And I'm very excited, certainly, to see where it goes the rest of his career. He has a very, very bright future. And the Giants' future looking a little bit better after a win. Again, you don't want to put too much on it. They did just get swept by the Phillies. But this is a game they had to have. You can't show up in Colorado. I don't care how bad the flight was. I don't care that you had a weird getaway day and then you got to play in Colorado and Colorado's just sitting around waiting. I don't care about any of that stuff. The Rockies suck, and you're a team that's supposed to go out there and make the playoffs. And you show up and you need to get one, you better take it. You better take it in game one. Establish a tone for the series, and the Giants did exactly that. Now, it's very easy to win when your pitcher goes up there, your starting pitcher goes up there, and delivers a goose egg for you. And I mean that in a glorious way, a golden goose egg. Here you go, 0 runs, 7 innings. Let's work with that. Yeah, hell yeah. But the Giants also had to, score runs, and that's been a bit of a problem for this team. And I liked what I saw tonight. Were they lacing the ball? No. Did it take a while for them to get going? Yes. But they find themselves in a position where, okay, first couple innings, they get some chances, they don't take advantage, and you go, here we go again. Here we go again. But they're working at bats. They're getting deep into Dakota Hudson's bag. He was at like 90-something pitches in the fourth inning. I mean, the Rockies threw 172 pitches tonight. The Giants were working him. It was Gabe Kapler's dream game. The spirit of Gabe lives. But when they had a chance there in the fourth inning, they just took advantage. And yeah, 2 of those balls didn't get out of the infield. Who cares? They put them in play. They didn't strike out in the big spot. They put the ball in play, and they forced the Colorado Rockies, who are a fine, good enough defensive team, to make a play. Just like Kyle Harrison spent all game saying, my guys are going to make a play behind me. The Giants told the Colorado Rockies, do something with it. And the Rockies couldn't take advantage. 2 runs on the board, and then our man, late night Lamont, Rocky Mountain High, Lamont Wade, ripping a 2 RBI single, giving the Giants a 4-0 lead. They added one a little bit later on, Michael Conforto. But I like to see them manufacture some runs, because at some point they will start hitting the long ball. I don't know if they're going to be prolific at it, but they will start hitting the long ball. This team pops up far too much for them to not turn some of those into home runs if they can just square it up a little bit better. This team will hit the long ball at some point, and I imagine when that point comes, it's going to be prodigious. We're almost going to be saying, that's enough. That's a save some for the next game. And that might be tomorrow. That might be Wednesday. Day game at Coors? Yeah, I think I'd be willing to place a bet on that. But manufacturing some runs after a couple of opportunities they let slip by, that tells me something about the character of this team. I'm not reading too far into it. I'm not telling you that this is the start of something great. I'm just saying that's what a quality baseball team does. They can grind out a couple of damn runs in a game that they have to win. They get the starting pitching that they needed. Bullpen comes through. Ryan Walker's been incredible this season, you guys. You knew that already, but I got to reiterate it here on the air. He's been awesome. It's all funk, no junk. Got to love what Ryan Walker's giving you. Camilo Doval coming in a non-save situation. You knew it was going to get hairy. That man runs solely on adrenaline. And you're coming into a 5-0 game at Coors Field. Yeah, it was going to be a little bit hairy. But no runs cross the plate for the Colorado Rockies. Giants win 5-0. Character win. Character win. And Bob Melvin, team meeting, all that saying, hey, let's start carrying ourselves like we're a team with something to offer. Let's stop pretending as if the sky is falling. Early in the season, they entered this game 3 games back in the wild card. Nothing had been lost yet. It felt bad. No one's arguing that it didn't feel bad. You get swept by the Phillies. You're getting punked by the two best teams in the National League. If you look at the schedule, lost all three to the Dodgers earlier this season. You play the Phillies, arguably the second best team in the National League. You get punked by them. Yeah, it feels bad. It feels bad. But at the same time, this is not a bad baseball team. Mediocre? Perhaps. But mediocre pays in modern Major League Baseball, baby. They were never going to be the Phillies. They were never going to be the Dodgers. I don't even think they'll be the Braves, who are scuffling a smidge. This has always been a team destined for the wild card at best, and they still are very much in the hunt. It's May. It's early May. And that was Bob Melvin's point. Our body language is bad. Our energy is bad. We're a good baseball team. It's going to work out in the long run. Let's start carrying ourselves with a little bit of class, a little bit of composure. Let's start presenting ourselves as a team with something to offer, because we are. And what did the Giants go out and do today? They just dared the Colorado Rockies to beat them. They said, yeah, we got something to offer. Do something about it. They went mano a mano. It wasn't one guy mowing everybody down, everybody following suit. No, this was a collective team win. And was it gritty? You bet your ass it was. I don't care. It's a W when you needed one. And it showed me a lot about this team. Because, again, when we're talking bad body language, bad vibes, the first couple innings of this game, they could have fell right back into it. And instead, they just gritted their teeth a little bit harder, and they made something happen against an inferior operation. And let's be very clear about this. I don't mean to disparage the win. And I know that Colorado had been, I don't think it has been over the last couple of years, but it had been a field of horrors for the San Francisco Giants, certainly historically. And you think about, oh, man, we got to go play the Rockies in Colorado. This is going to be a slugfest. Not really. Not really. I mean, you can slug. Have at it. I kind of like where the Rockies pitchers are. I think they finally figured out the kind of pitchers that they need to pitch at high altitude. But they're never going to be good. They're never going to have dominant dudes. They're not going to have Zach Wheeler out there. They're trying to get by. And for years we've talked, you get the Rockies on the road, they're a completely different team. They're kind of the same team at home and on the road this year. On the road, they got a 623 OPS, the Rockies do. Let me translate that for you. It sucks. It's quite bad. At home, they're at 687. That's pretty bad, too. That's like the Giants over the last couple of weeks when they haven't been able to hit. That's the Rockies at home. They're not a good baseball team. And credit to Kyle Harrison, credit to the Giants for basically saying, hey, you guys aren't very good. We're not going to try to get fancy with this. We're not going to get cute. We're going to dare you to beat us. We're going to pound the strike zone. We're going to play good defense, and we're going to grind out some runs. We're going to get our good vibes back. We're going to get that winning feeling into our veins. And from this point on, who knows? I say do the exact same thing again tomorrow. Do the same thing again tomorrow. Pound the strike zone. Play good defense. And if you got to scrape out some runs, scrape out some runs. Don't worry about the long ball. Don't be trying to put it in that Rocky Mountain air. Just manufacture some runs. You do that long enough, suddenly scoring becomes a lot easier. They got to, I deal with writer's block all the time as a columnist. You know what you do? You grit your teeth and you write a piece of crap. You just get through it. You start typing words. You start saying words sometimes, and you push through it. And at some point, you'll find a thread. At some point, you'll get your mojo back. At some point, you'll feel like you know what you're doing again. That's the San Francisco Giants right now. They got a bit of a hitter's block. Sometimes they got a bit of a pitcher's block. Sometimes they got a bit of a defensive block. Grit your teeth, power through it. You're going up against an inferior opponent. Trust that you're the better team, and go out there and make more plays than them. Honestly, this is kind of aesthetically pleasing baseball. I don't like all these strikeouts and walks and stuff. Put the ball in play. Let's play some baseball. Let's do something athletic. Let's go out there and run a little bit, eh? Let's manufacture some. I don't care if the ball never left the infield for the first RBI of the game. We're playing. We're playing baseball. That's what the Giants need to do until it all starts to click, until they feel like they know what they're doing again, until they get their mojo back, if they've ever had it in the first place. But trust me, there's mojo in this team. You got Matt Chapman, who's an all-star caliber player. You got Jung-Hoo Lee, who is 3 hits today. He had been hinting, well, not so subtly, that he was ready to start lacing the ball to all fields. And even today, it felt like he still left something out there. You got Conforto, who, listen, I don't know if he's going to be an all-star or anything like that. But when that guy's hot, I wouldn't want to face him. Thairo Estrada's playing great. Lamont Wade's playing great. When Yaz is hot, he can carry a team for a day or two, but he can carry one. Yeah, there's some streaky hitters on this team, but they've all been streaking downwards kind of at the same time, save for 1 or 2 dudes. What happens when they all start streaking at the same time in the positive direction? The only way to get to that point is to grind a couple out. And maybe it only takes 1. Maybe tonight is all they need. Maybe it'll take another one and another one. Maybe it'll take 10. I don't know. But get the victory however you can. And tonight, the victory came because Kyle Harrison went out there and just told the Colorado Rockies, do something about it. I don't care that my sweeper isn't going to sweep, that my changeup's not going to look like any, not going to drop. I don't care that my fastball doesn't have the same zip that it usually has. Do something about it. The Colorado Rockies said, no, sir. We pass. Hard pass. And it sets up now a really great opportunity for the Giants to get the good times rolling starting tomorrow. Jordan Hicks on the mound. I'm fascinated to see what the sinker does at altitude. In theory, it should work, right? It's not a high spin pitch. The entire concept of the sinker, the splitter really, is that it's almost knuckling. It's falling off the table. In theory, it should work in altitude. I'm fascinated to see if it does or it doesn't. And by the way, if it doesn't work for Jordan Hicks, well, he's got the kind of four-seam fastball to just dare the Colorado Rockies to do something with it. Maybe he just goes off the Kyle Harrison blueprint. I'm gonna pound fastballs in the zone. What are you gonna do about it?
Do something about it.
And then Keaton Wynn on Wednesday in the matinee, or Thursday in the matinee. Oh, we got to get our days straight here. Same thing, right? Sinker in altitude. Fascinated to see what happens. And boy, you want to talk about someone who needs to get right. Keaton Wynn. Philadelphia did a number on him. I want to see where his confidence is at. I've said for a long time, I love Keaton Wynn's stuff. We're looking pretty far ahead here, but love Keaton Wynn's stuff. Wish he had more Kyle Harrison bulldog in him. Hey, maybe it rubs off. Maybe Kyle Harrison's the kind of player that can galvanize a team. Let's all be a little more Kyle Harrison-like moving forward. We're going to hear from Bob Melvin on the other side of the break. Then we're going to hear from you. 808 KNBR is the number. Your thoughts on tonight's game, what you think the Giants need to do moving forward now that they gritted one out against the Colorado Rockies. 5-0 character win for San Francisco. We got some calls already. Stay on the line. We're going to hear from Bob Melvin. Then we're going to hear from you. This is Sports Phone KNBR on the Sports Leader.
your mind on the sports leader. Sports Phone KNBR keeps coming at you. Streaming live at twitch.tv/the sports leader.
1-2 pitch, a swing, ground ball towards second. Moving to his left, Cairo Estrada will field it, and from the edge of the grass, he'll throw out back at first. Side retired, and for Kyle Harrison, 7 shutout innings tonight in his first career start at Coors Field.
Just what the doctor ordered. A bottle of Coors and Kyle Harrison. Hell of a performance from Harrison. Yeah, just what San Francisco needed tonight. Grind out a couple runs. Get a stellar performance from a young pitcher who fears nothing. This is one of those games that you could look back on. You could. We'll see if the Giants take advantage. But this is a feel-good game. It's a recalibration game. And here was Bob Melvin, the Giants skipper, who had a couple things to say before the game, after it.
And obviously after the stretch you had on the East Coast, what do you think about what he was able to do in this environment?
I don't know what his mindset was, but talk about pounding the zone and giving us 7 innings here in this ballpark. And he's going to feel it a little bit tomorrow because it is different. A lot of adrenaline, throwing strikes, getting early count contact. It's kind of really what we needed. Was a 7-inning start like that. So, I really don't typically want to use Camilo in those games, but with the way the workload's been for everybody else, it ended up being about as good as we could plan.
Yeah, I was going to say, how big was that to get that Kyle in and then, Walker and Camilo after?
Yeah, it was if you could draw it up like that, it would probably be just like that. So, couldn't have been any better. And really, his breaking ball's come a long way, his changeup and his lateral breaking ball. And to get that deep in the game means you're not going to strike that many people out either, and he didn't. But it was fantastic.
How did you like his pitch count?
I enjoyed that very much.
Can you recall another young pitcher or player performing in an environment like this as well as Kyle did tonight?
I'd have to think back. But it was pretty good. When you haven't pitched here before, he's pitched in Reno and places like that, but when you haven't pitched here before, there's some unknowns when you go out there. Is your breaking ball going to break like it normally does? How am I going to feel? Am I going to get winded? All those things that there's some uncertainty about. Didn't seem to bother him at all.
How does that efficiency stack up for him, and what was the key to it tonight?
He's been doing that a couple times this year. So. It's about not going out there and trying to strike somebody out to get to 2 strikes. And if you can get early count contact and keep your pitch count down, it means you're going to be out there a little bit longer.
Matt Chapman, after the last game, said you guys just have to work to scratch and claw your way to get some offense. Was today sort of a good example of?
Yeah, it's not like we were smashing the ball around there for a little while, but we're putting it in play and not striking out. And, when you do that, sometimes good things are going to happen. So, and then Wade's, obviously Lamont's hit was huge at the time to make it from 2 to 4. So just trying to put together really good at-bats across the board where we ended up getting 10 hits and, ended up being a really good game for us.
Through it all, what do you think about how Wade has been hitting lately?
It's really been all year like this. So, he's making his reps. We're leaving in more opportunities for him against lefties at times, and you come through like that, it's easy to leave him in there. So, he's been about as consistent as anybody. What's he hit 350 this year? It's pretty good.
How much of a factor was the wind tonight?
You know what? Early on, it seemed like it died down a little bit, but it was killing some balls going to left field. That's for sure. And you could see how shallow their outfield was playing. So I don't think it took away from any ball that was hit tonight. That might have been different if it wasn't cold and windy. But you're always going to get different conditions here.
Bob Melvin, Giants manager, after tonight's 5-0 win. It sounds like what Kyle Harrison did was all part of the plan. Sounds like the entire game was all part of the plan. So, good job, Bob. That worked. 5-0. Back in the W category. Late night, Lamont Wade. Rocky Mountain High, Lamont Wade. Bob wasn't kidding, man. It's been all season. This has been the Giants' best hitter this season. And sometimes the numbers lie. They don't lie with Lamont Wade right now. He's got a 9.27 OPS. That is very, very good. And he's, if nothing else, always going to give you quality at-bats. If you can get quality at-bats, get good walks deep into counts, and you can lay the lumber on it, make something happen at the plate, drive some runs home, it's a hell of a baseball player right there. And with the way that the Giants roster is looking right now, with trying to get Wilmer Flores in the lineup because it just hasn't been that many opportunities for him, but now Jorge Soler being out with questions in the outfield, especially when you're talking about spelling Mike Yastrzemski and right. Can you go to Austin Slater? I don't care what the hand matchup is anymore. I would like to see Lamont Wade in left field on days that Yaz isn't in right field. I don't care if it's lefty and lefty. I want Lamont Wade's bat in the lineup every day. Now, listen, are there ways to manage that and find a way? Okay, we'll pinch hit Lamont in this situation. I don't mind him lefty on lefty. Just like, obviously, we don't mind Jung-Hoo Lee lefty on lefty. In fact, I think some of his best at-bats this season have come against lefties. When we're talking about a bat-to-ball guy, it does not matter. We're talking about power, it does. Because same-handed pitchers, typically they're going away from your power zone. They're starting on the outside corner, it's trailing out. If they got something that is tunneled right, you're ending up looking really ugly up there. But when you're a guy who's just trying to lace it to all fields, and right now that's Lamont Wade. I know he's got the power. I know he's shown it. But this is a guy who hits to all fields. When you got a guy like Jung-Hoo Lee hits to all fields, I don't care that he's on the left side of the plate, and I don't care if they have a southpaw on the mound. Get him in the game. Because if the Giants learned anything from this terrible road trip up until tonight, it's that they strike out way too damn much. For a team that doesn't have the kind of prodigious power that we knew the Giants wouldn't have. We thought it'd be better than this, but we knew they weren't going to be some, Bronx Bombers Yankees team. We knew they weren't going to be Slam Diego. We knew they weren't going to be whatever the hell they called the Minnesota team that hit like 350 home runs a couple of years ago with Nelson Cruz. We knew they weren't going to be some American League bash it over the wall 4 times a game kind of team. You got to have your best hitters, true hitters, contact hitters in your lineup every day. Hands be damned. And, of course, that was supposed to be the idea about this season. The Giants were going away from trying to eke out every margin, try to win every little battle, win by 1% in 100 different spots, play the analytics over all else. They were going to go with a little bit more vibes, a little bit more old-school baseball sense. I got some old-school baseball sense for you. Lamont Wade should be playing every day. And he is, as of late. It's not to say that Bob's been mismanaging or anything like that. It's just to say it's pretty obvious now that this guy, he needs to cool down considerably for me to consider putting him on the bench. I know he can pinch hit. I know that they can get him in there if Soler is not in the lineup, clogging up that DH spot, Lamont Wade Jr. should be in the lineup every day. I don't care if you have Clayton Kershaw on the mound. I don't care if you have Sandy Koufax on the mound. Get the guy in the lineup every day. I think Bob Melvin knows that, and I think Bob Melvin's going to do that, and I'm very interested to see how he manages his lineup from this point on. The other guys who are hitting well, Thairo Estrada, hitting well. Jung-Hoo Lee's coming around, and that could change a lot for the Giants if Jung-Hoo Lee goes on a streak. We're talking today plus. If he starts lacing doubles and triples like we know he can, now we got something here, because what the Giants have really lacked all season, and Lee has been fine. He's been spectacular in center. I was stunned that some of the advanced numbers are not recognizing how easy he's making center field look. At Coors Field today, had a great catch, jumping catch, had a couple of just insane routes to the ball, and I mean that in the highest complimentary sense. Like, nobody gets a read on a fly ball like that with the wind the way it was going. At Coors Field, having never played there before, no one is able to make it look that easy the first time they're there. That is a huge center field. That is polo grounds, acres of space, baby. I mean, you're halfway to Boulder by the time you get to the wall at Coors Field. Hell, you might as well be at Denver International Airport, which I have long called West Kansas International Airport. There's nothing in between Denver and the airport for 40 miles, but for some reason they built it out there, and that's why Darren Chan got very, very, very sick. Hey, let's build it right in a wind tunnel off the mountains. Great airport. And by the way, what an incredible decision by all of these airlines. I digress, of course. Incredible decision by all these airlines to use that as a base. Hey, you know a place where the weather can change from 90 degrees to 24 degrees in the course of less than 24 hours? Let's build an airport there. And not only that, let's make that our regional hub. It's like making SFO your regional hub. What do you mean fog? What do you mean it started to snow? It was 80 degrees this morning. I guess we got to ground all the flights. Don't worry. No one has connections. We're just a connecting airport to the entire West. Obviously, I got some bad blood with Denver International Airport. West Kansas International Airport. Regardless, Jung-Hoo Lee, if you hit a fly ball out there, he'd be able to catch it. He's been marvelous. He had a couple of great plays. Philadelphia's not an easy place to play center field. Boston's not an easy place to play center field. He's getting the ropes course. Apparently in Korea, all the outfield dimensions are the exact same. I'm not making that up. I've heard that from legitimate sources. I have not vetted it. 808 KNBR, if I'm incorrect, if you're a KBO head, let me know. If the Dino Fighters, in fact, have different outfield dimensions, 808 KNBR is the number. But this guy's out here. He's got to play it at Oracle Park, which, brutal. Brutal. We can all agree on that. Brutal to play center field at Oracle Park. Triples Alley might as well be a defensive test. It's the SAT of center field defense. And you didn't study. Boston, Philadelphia, they got weird angles out there. Weird angles. And now Coors and Jung-Hoo Lee is just, he's making it look easy out there. And we see the bat-to-ball skills. If he starts lacing them into those alleys that he so easily patrols on defense, now the Giants have a table setter. Now they got a little bit of something every inning. And I know that the Giants have not been a very good team with runners in scoring position. But if you keep knocking on that door, just like what happened today, if you keep knocking on that door and putting balls in play, but you always got someone on first, or here's a concept. How about the grandson of the wind tries to take second when he gets to first? But if you got a guy who's constantly setting the table, every time he's up, he's on base, he's making something happen. He's putting pressure on the pitcher, putting pressure on the catcher, putting pressure on the defense. And you just put the damn ball in play, that's going to turn into runs. You don't need the 3-run home run to win in the National League. Hell, I don't think you need the 3-run home run to win in Major League Baseball this year. Have you seen some of the numbers? There's like 2 teams hitting. Sadly, the Giants have run into both of them so far this season. It's the Dodgers and the Phillies, baby. Everybody else, I don't really know. Maybe they need to lower that mound. All those gains Rob Manfred got last year by changing like all the rules, they're gone. They're gone. Because guess what? These guys are throwing 99-mile-per-hour cheese at your hands and then hitting you with a breaking ball that, frankly, shouldn't bend that much. Frankly, should not move as much as it moves. And that's maybe why a lot of elbows are exploding in Major League Baseball, but that's a different story for a different day. I think that we are in an era where, yes, it's all about the launch angle and the exit velocity. But I think we're in an era with offense being suppressed to this point this season, and I think it maintains to a good degree with the way the pitchers are going. I think we're in an era where if you're just a gritty, dirty, no-good team, and again, I mean that in a good way, a team that's going to go out there and just grind you, I think you can win a lot of baseball games that way. I'm not going to worry too much with the Giants about the OPS or RISP or exit velos. Here's what I'm going to worry about with the Giants for the time being. And I hope we get to the point where I got to dig down deep onto the numbers. Here's what I'm going to worry about. R. It means runs, and let's see how many they can score a night. That's where I'm at right now. I want to hear where you're at on the other side of the break. We got a great bank of calls that we're going to get to, and we're going to grind a couple of these bad boys out on the other side. Dieter Kurtenbach with you until 11 p.m. This is Sports Phone KNBR on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
It's a swing and a high fly ball deep right center field. Lee angling back, still on the move. Onto the track, Lee leaps, and Lee makes the catch. With his back up against the wall in deep right center, Jung-Hoo Lee with a very nice play, and that's out number 2.
The man can play some center field. The man can play some center field, and 3 hits today. Jung-Hoo Lee, we're on the precipice of something here. We've liked what we've seen so far, but we've been overlooking a little bit of some of the struggles, right? And again, you want to give the guy the benefit of the doubt. He's coming over from Korea. That's a tough transition. That's a brutal transition. He's looked good the whole time. Looked competent. Hasn't looked overmatched once. Plays a wicked center field. It is a joy to watch him play defense. Yeah, in football, I love watching the safeties. I believe the safeties are destiny. But the only way to really see the safeties are to be in the stadium or to watch on the All-22. And that's the only way to figure out, they shape the defense. They define the defense. It's very important as someone who's trying to deeply understand what's happening on a football field to see the safeties. But, of course, CBS and Fox, NBC, just zoom in on the quarterback and, heaven forbid, anything else is happening on the field. I would like an all-22. I'd like the all-9 so I can watch Jung-Hoo Lee play center field. Legitimately, I am in no way a shill or a hawk. The Giants don't pay me. I will, as many of you complain, be very critical about the San Francisco Giants. I pull no punches either direction. Jung-Hoo Lee playing center field is legitimately worth the price of admission. Now, you better hope that they hit a lot of fly balls to center field. The alleys, all that. But that guy playing center field is a joy. And that is a kind of weird thing to say, so take it on spec. Trust me when I say, if you haven't watched Jung-Hoo Lee play center field from the correct vantage point, which is in the ballpark, because you're not getting all 9 anywhere other than, I'm sure, in Major League Baseball headquarters in Manhattan, wherever they do the instant replay center. Maybe NBC Sports Bay Area can get you a feed. I can't get it. If you haven't watched Jung-Hoo Lee play center field, truly play center field, not just the camera cutting to him as he's halfway through his route. I'm telling you, it's an absolute joy. Also a joy to have Mike in Oakland on Sports Phone KNBR. Mike, you've been patiently waiting. We are eager to hear your take. The floor is yours.
Well, hello and good evening. Happy Tuesday.
Happy Tuesday.
You've hit on so many things during this time that
I'm like the Giants. I'm just hitting like crazy, baby.
I know, and I gotta say the squibbers, the ground ball with eyes, to quote Bull Durham.
Yeah.
That's I don't care.
Don't care.
Don't strike out. Don't walk. Put it in play.
Looks the same in the box score.
Said the same thing. Just put the ball in play.
Put the ball in play.
Anyways,
you want to talk Harrison?
So I recall an interview with hitters talking about Greg Maddux. So you had touched on Maddux, and they actually showed the visual that actually showed how he could X the black on both knees.
Oh, yeah.
And it's like, I'm not calling Harrison that, No.
No.
No. But that was that. I mean, and I only listen to it on the radio these days because of work schedule and everything else. But
we appreciate
my gosh, just hearing the descriptions and the movement, that is very promising. That is a lovely thing.
It is. I wish he had a little bit. I mean, listen, I'll say this. Again, I'm not the biggest fan of Kyle Harrison's actual stuff. And what Greg Maddux was able to do was move a fastball inside, outside, go up, go down. He had everybody fooled at all times. You were never safe in the box. When he would throw, he's a righty, he would throw that two-seamer. He'd be throwing it right at your rib cage, and it would just come in at the last second and catch the front door of the strike zone. I mean, he is masterful. It brings a tear to your eye if you love the pitching craft. Kyle Harrison's not like that.
No.
But when he locates, good luck. Good luck. And by the way, when he locates, it's a little bit Logan Webby. I mean, it kind of gets back to the old school baseball. Like, everyone's just trying to strike everybody out all the time. Forget that, man. Get weak contact. Get balls in play. Let your defense do some work. You'll win a lot of games that way.
That's my exact point is Logan Webby. When he locates, good luck.
Yep. Oh, yeah. Oh, you made contact. That probably wasn't the best thing for you, was it? Congratulations. You were able to square up his changeup, and, Thairo Estrada threw you out with ease. Like, that's where it's at. I don't know if we're going to get back to baseball being a sport where, you remember the St. Louis Cardinals for years and years and years. Everybody was pitched to contact. Some of the best pitchers of the prior decade were pitch to contact guys, just rake dudes down, just work through games quick. I grew up in Chicago South Side. Mark Burley. Was he striking out more than 3 or 4 dudes a game? Hell no. But Mark Burley was working like he didn't even need Rob Manfred. He could get this thing done in less than 2 hours. And when you made contact, every now and again he'd get laced. But more often than not, it was a dribbler to Joe Creedy. It was a dribbler to Juan Uribe. I mean, you weren't doing anything with what he was giving you, and you convinced yourself up there, well, he's only throwing 88. I should be able to smack the bejesus out of that. He fooled you into it.
Practice.
Exactly. And then here you are.
Batting practice fastballs going right down the Yep.
Oh, they're anything but down the middle. That's the kicker on it.
Down to the glove.
That's right.
They're finding a glove.
Yeah. So I don't know if baseball's going to get back to that on the whole, but I can tell you this right now: the San Francisco Giants should make that their credo for the rest of the year. And it's easy to do it when your ace already has that sort of temperament, and it's easy to do it when you got Matt Chapman and Nick Ahmed, and I mean even Tyler Fitzgerald's flashing the leather when he's at short, if he can step on second base. Thairo Estrada's doing an exceptional job at second. Really, really lovely job. And you got as long as no one hits it to left field, you got a great outfield defense. So.
Conforto, get him. Slater, Conforto, I'm sorry. Conforto should be the DH.
Well, they paid another guy to be DH, and at some point he's going to start hitting, I'm telling you. But, it's May 7th. Let's give it a little bit of time. But, yeah. Oh boy!
But this is also the type of thing where I want StatCast and all these analytics. Like, take a break here. I don't care about exit velocity.
Well, Let's pump the brakes there. That stuff does matter, but right now it doesn't matter for the San Francisco Giants. If the Giants can win a lot of games and the StatCast numbers never look any good, that's fine. That's a formula. One game does not make a formula. But you had to grind out a win tonight.
But I also understand the counterpoint to that with being said that they're making good contact. This is baseball. Those are going to fall. If you continue to make contact like that, yeah, that's what happens.
No question.
You got to trust. You got to trust in that.
There is some sort of spirit of baseball that does exist, and there's a reason that guys like Luis Arraez, who just got traded to San Diego and is going to do wonders for that Padres team, there's a reason those guys still exist. You can look in some of the numbers and you can say, oh, this guy doesn't really hit for that much power, and his exit velocity is kind of crap. You know what he does? He constantly tests the other team. And here's the fun fact about a lot of other teams in baseball. They kind of suck. There's a lot of mediocre teams that aren't trying to get tested.
The Braves.
There are a lot of teams that are trying not to get tested. I would not hold you to the Atlanta Braves are going to. Come June, I have the feeling we'll be singing a different thing about the Braves, but here we are.
They're going to be the Braves. We know they're going to be the Braves. Like, yeah.
But as of right now, if you get them, test them. And you get the Colorado Rockies, dare them to win a baseball game. It's the best formula.
You're supposed to do. And this kind of reminds me, this type of theory is like talking about East Coast journalists who don't actually watch the games and just look at the numbers.
Yeah, let them have it.
They suck. Oh, they don't care.
Let them have it. They're irrelevant. Ironically, as the world has gotten more flat, the more local you are, there's only one thing you need to be in this journalism game today, and that's an authority. And the only way you can be an authority is if you're actually putting in the work, and heaven help us here at KNBR.
Yeah, the eye test. The eye test measures beyond any numbers you look on the paper. Well, they don't even really give I love the SF Chronicle, the green page, but they don't give all the numbers that they used to. The box scores are completely different.
Hey, no comment, but I appreciate the call, Mike. Thanks for calling in. Good stuff there from Mike. Let's we got a lot of calls we got to get to here. I apologize for keeping people on hold. Let's go to Satchel in Chico. The flamethrower doing some work, though Chico's not that far. Satchel, how you doing this evening? You're on the leader.
Hey, I'm doing good, man. And you guys want to talk about old school? I'm like the most old school cat around, and I got a question for you just to prove who was the greatest. I mean, the last greatest pitching dynasty. It was the Braves. What was it? A 4-man rotation. I got a theory right now. Webb, Wynn, Harrison, and then tell Snell if he doesn't show up, he's getting sent down. Forget Snell.
I think you're forgetting the best pitcher for the Giants this season. His name is Jordan Hicks. He's pitching tomorrow.
Yeah, I know Hicks. I was going to Hicks after Snell, slapping Snell around.
You're telling the reigning Cy Young winner, who's got 2-3 starts under his belt, get the hell up out of here?
No, I'm telling him you better show up when you're done with your little scaredy cat injury. You got to start pitching, dude. I'm not taking this 5 innings.
Hey now, we'll drop you with a let's just do it. Let's talk about a 4-man rotation and the validity of injuries. Doesn't surprise me at all that Blake Snell pulled something. Shows up, no spring training, goes out there and is trying to figure it out live on the mound. First time he had pitched in front of the San Francisco Giants defense was a real-life Major League Baseball game at Oracle Park. And this is a dude who, he ain't 6'8", 275 pounds, just a hoss out there, built to throw heat. He's a fairly slight guy. And he gets it up there. Don't get me wrong. He gets it up there. But it didn't surprise me at all that something went, given the run-up that he had. The notion that it's a scaredy cat injury is ludicrous and discrediting to anyone who wants to suggest it. Now, here's what we got. The Giants do have a good four-man rotation. And Blake Snell threw a 50-pitch bullpen on Saturday. He threw live BP today. I think there's a very good chance, I'm not going to put a probability on it, I think there's a very good chance that Blake Snell pitches for the San Francisco Giants in a real game on Saturday. That would be when Dalton Jeffries is next asked to start. And let's be real, we can't have that. We can't have it. I'd rather see Son Jelly out there. I'd rather see another Mason Black. I cannot do another Dalton Jeffries start. No offense to the guy. Nice dude. Can't do it. Can't have it. Saturday's the next blank spot in the rotation. Currently, it's perceived to be Jeffries. With the way it was Snell going today, I did not get a report on how Snell looked today in live BP, which is a very strange concept. Hey, go up there and let these guys hit you. Isn't the point to not let them do that? But if Snell looked good today, 50 pitches on Saturday, it all sort of adds up to, hey, you can go on Saturday for us when you're playing the Cincinnati Reds at Oracle Park. It probably wouldn't be a full start. They'd probably pull him after 60 pitches or so. It'd probably be a little bit more of the same if we're being honest. But a two-time Cy Young winner, the reigning Cy Young winner, is on your team. You're going to pitch him. You're going to pitch him if you can. I'm interested to see if he's ready to go by Saturday. If not, it does seem very probable that next week Blake Snell is back in this rotation, and now you do have something cooking. Now you're looking at it, hey, Harrison has overperformed. I think that's fair to say. I think he's exceeded expectations. Plus, he's in a spot where you're not, say for this last road trip where you've needed him to be a stopper now twice, you're not putting him in a scenario where he had to be your number two, which is what we were looking at with a month to go to the regular season. It was Logan Webb, and here's Kyle Harrison, the only other guy you can trust in this rotation, and you couldn't even trust him. He was going to be your number two. You got Jordan Hicks, who you're converting from a reliever. You didn't know what you were going to get from him. It's been spectacular. We're all loving what we're seeing. You have Keaton Winn, who I was high on. I was like the only one banging the Keaton Winn drum. I'm a little bit quieter after the game against Philadelphia, but I'll still go to bat for Keaton Winn. I love the stuff. I'd like to see the temperament. I'd like to see a little more bulldog. I don't think he could ever be a Kyle Harrison level competitor, but when you got stuff like that and you can locate that stuff, you got a chance to win a lot of baseball games. And then here's Blake Snell, who again might have led the National League in walks last year, but also won the Cy Young. The only way you were getting on base against Blake Snell is if he put you there. They were all heirs of commission, not heirs of omission. That's a five-man rotation that has some juice. And, oh, yeah, Alex Cobb, at some point, we thought it might be around now. It isn't going to be. He's on the 60. And here's Robbie Ray, a Cy Young winner himself. And you liked a little bit of what you saw from Mason Black. Carson Whisenhunt is sitting around. You could throw him into the mix if you need to. The Giants got the arms, baby. The idea of going to a four-man rotation, they might need to go to a six-man rotation. They might have too many good starting pitchers. That's a real champagne problem. These things usually take care of themselves. But at the same time, man, going back to a four-man rotation, as much as we want to talk old school, some old school stuff is stupid. You know, CC Sabathia wasn't worth a damn after age 33. You think that had anything to do with the fact that the Brewers, when they traded for him that season, pitched him every other day, it seemed like? You know, you think about how Tim Lincecum's career went. Could have had more in the tank? I don't know. I don't want to go back and play revisionist history. But when you got guys going out there and the mandate for a major league pitcher, whether it's coming out of the bullpen and now as a starter, is to go 100% on every pitch every time, you have to have a different temperament about it. You have to attack that differently when you're thinking about how to keep your guys on the mound for the entirety of the season. And if you guys want to roll your eyes out, the old school folks want to roll your eyes about pitch counts and not letting your guys go out there and work through stuff, man, look at all the arm injuries around baseball, and that's with a lot of very smart people trying to figure out how to avoid them. The issue is pretty simple. They've never thrown harder. Everyone is throwing as hard as they possibly to the limits of the human body. That's how hard guys are throwing right now. In order to be a major league pitcher, you got to come in at 95 miles per hour minimum. I remember growing up, 35. I remember growing up, if you threw 95, you were a demigod. I mean, wow, this guy's getting 95 up there. Now, if you're throwing 95, you're slow. I'm going out here, and on the air, I'm going, I don't know about Kyle Harrison's fastball. 94 miles per hour. There's a guy going to get called up here by the Pittsburgh Pirates. It should have been yesterday. It's going to be soon. His name is Paul Skeens. He averages 100 miles per hour on his fastball as a starter. He's got 4 breaking balls. He's the number 1 prospect in baseball. He's going to dominate when he comes up. Pitchers are so good that Jared Jones, who has arguably been the best pitcher in baseball this year, the guy called up by the Pirates very early in the season, to the point where it seemed like it was opening day. He's out there throwing 99, 100. He's got a wicked slider, good changeup, can give you a couple of different. I mean, movement that would have made Babe Ruth soil his pants. The stuff that they're doing. I mean, he can murder somebody with these pitches. That guy's the 3rd best pitcher in the Pirates organization. He's not even the 3rd best prospect in the Pirates organization this year is a guy who legitimately could win the Cy Young in the National League. There are 2 pitchers that are universally believed in their system to be better than him who could both come up this year. Bubba Chamberlain and Paul Skeens. We're not doing Pirates talk here. It's just to say that it is insane what these major league pitchers can do in this day and age. You want to know why offense is down? It's because everybody in baseball on the pitching mound is out of their mind. Demigod caliber. So 4-man rotation. Maybe we need to start going to 6-man rotations. That's where I'm at. And by the way, Giants, one of the few teams in baseball that can reasonably do it if they wanted to. Might take a little bit, but they could reasonably do it. Mason Black, he's moving the ball left and right, and you go, I don't know if he's good enough. I don't know if he's going to cut it in the major leagues. 92, 93 miles per hour on the fastball. That guy would have played for 15 years in the 90s. And now you're like, I don't know if he'll get 15 starts in the majors. His stuff ain't good enough. I really enjoy it. I really enjoy watching pitchers just mow dudes down, going to work. I enjoy the craft. I could never get it up that high. I topped out at 87. But man, if you are still approaching it like, just rub some dirt on it. No, man. Dirt doesn't fix UCLs. And it doesn't fix how late I am for this break. Okay, we are going to stop listening to me. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to come back, and we're going to clear off these phone lines. 808 KNBR is the number if you do want to get in, because it's your show for the rest of it. I promise. 808 KNBR is the number. Kurtenbach with you until 11 on the Sports Leader.
This is where we feed the faithful. Sports Phone, KNBR. Streaming live at twitch.tv/The Sports Leader.
Back with you on the leader. No Niners talk tonight. Sports Phone, KNBR. Do we have Chris? Yeah.
Hey, how you doing?
How you doing, Chris? Thanks for taking the time. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I was just talking about the Giants win, and you're doing a great job too, man. You've got a great voice, and everybody thinks you're doing a good job, man.
I don't know about everybody, but I appreciate you thinking it, and that's all I need right now.
I believe it, man. You have a great voice. You have a great radio voice, man.
Well, it definitely beats my radio face. I'll give you that.
Well, anyway, it's a great win, great Giants win, but I really do believe that they need to sweep the Rockies.
No doubt.
They need to sweep the Rockies to make a dent, man, because the Dodgers ain't going anywhere, and the Padres, I know they're not doing that great, but they're right behind, and whatever, I mean, it's just not going to sustain. It's not going to sustain itself if they don't. I mean,
what's the old saying, right? You can't win a division. They say in April. You can also add May, but you can lose one. And while the Giants have probably been playing for the wild card this whole time, they could find themselves in a hole. They could find themselves in a hole that they don't have the opportunity to dig themselves out of. And
that's what I see them doing right now, is just digging themselves a hole.
Well, they can start digging their way out of it.
I need to see them sweep the Rockies, and then go on from there.
Well, they took care of part one.
Yeah. Right.
Appreciate the call, Chris.
Keep on going.
Hey, from your lips to Bob Melvin's ears. Appreciate the call. Good stuff there. Let's go to Trenton in Santa Rosa. You want to talk Giants baseball? You found the right place. Trenton, thanks for waiting. You're on Sports Phone KNBR.
Hey, boss, can you hear me?
I can.
Hey, man, how's it going?
A lot better now that the Giants are winning again.
There we go. Hey, I got a question for you, man. I want to run something by you real quick.
Run it.
So looking at someone like, we have Lee, who's been our leadoff hitter, and, he's been solid, and, he's had his ups and downs, but the way Lamont's playing right now, like, how would you feel about him possibly hitting leadoff? I mean, you look at his walks this year, and, he doesn't have enough at bats to be leading the league right now, but he does lead the league in OBP. So, like, what do you think would be an idea of possibly leading him off? And I know that moves Jung Ho, and that might move him, further and further down the order. And he did have 3 hits today, so I'm not going to talk too bad about him. But
right.
He has hit a cold spell kind of throughout the year, and it's
been a tough transition.
Yeah.
I like the idea. We've certainly seen it in the past. If Jung-Hoo Lee is not going to be out there stealing bases, I see no reason that Lamont Wade can't do exactly what Jung-Hoo Lee is supposed to be doing as well. Here's the thing. It was suggested on last night's show, and I think astutely, that maybe Jung-Hoo Lee should be in the 2-hole as opposed to leading off. I have no problem with that. If you go with Lamont Wade as your leadoff hitter, you can't then have Jung-Hoo Lee batting second. You can't start off lefty-lefty. It's just unreasonable. So then you're putting Jung-Hoo, third? I would prefer to flip that around, keep Jung-Hoo 1, and have Lamont Wade hitting third. Because otherwise now you're not getting them in the top 3 of your order. You're not getting as many at-bats as you could. That could prove critical, especially if you're in a late-game scenario. It's a good idea. If Jung-Hoo Lee's not in the lineup, then absolutely Lamont Wade should be leading off. I want Lamont Wade's bat in the lineup every day until it's obvious we need a day or 2 off here. As long as he is hitting the way that he's hitting, seeing the ball the way that he's seeing the ball, he should be in the lineup every day. I don't care if you have Randy Johnson on the mound throwing 100-mile-per-hour cheese from the left side. Lamont Wade needs to be in there. But they also paid Jung-Hoo Lee a lot of money, and they paid him a lot of money to play great center field and to lead off for this team. And I don't think that he's disqualified himself quite yet. And it might take even a while longer to reach any point of disqualification. I don't think I don't think that is the shakeup that this team needs right now, but I think it's an extremely salient point. It's just there's just a redundancy with lefty and lefty there that doesn't make it a reasonable 1-2 move. So as of right now, if I had my druthers, I would go Jung-Hoo Lee 1, Thairo Estrada 2, and Lamont Wade 3, and everyone else can figure out where the hell they want to line up after that. But I do appreciate the call, and I do appreciate that Major League Baseball on the whole has figured out that the 4 spot is not as valuable as the 2 spot. I really like. Where are you batting Shohei Ohtani? You're batting him second. It's the best hitter in baseball. It's the best player in baseball. And the Dodgers, who we might not like them, but we got to admit they kind of know what they're doing to a certain degree. They're batting that dude second, and that's where Mike Trout's been hitting a lot, like before he got injured or between injuries. When you're a really good hitter, you want to be at the dish as often as possible. There's still something to be said for someone to set the table, be a true leadoff guy, get on base, steal second, all that jazz. But if Jung-Hoo Lee were to move down, he'd be at what? 5, 6, 7? I need him at the plate more often. I'd love to see more Lamont Wade. I do think he can set the table. Issue is you have a bit of a redundancy. And we fall back into the same situation with like Jorge Soler. Kind of stinks. Like when Jorge Soler starts hitting, we're not going to be talking about this anymore. But so long as he's injured and no longer hitting, and not hitting just because, 1, he's not in, and 2, he wasn't hitting before that, it becomes a little stinky. He's clogging up that DH spot where you can move guys in and out. You can keep hot bats in the lineup, even if the Giants have a bit of redundancy with their roster. I like to look at it as a champagne problem. I like to look at it as, hey, we got 2 good left-handed hitters. Remember when they didn't have 1? Those were some dire times. So I'm still optimistic that this Giants lineup can get it figured out. I do think that it's going to start raining here pretty soon. Now that it's not raining in San Francisco anymore, it's going to start raining with the Giants' bats. Maybe there's a connection there. I don't know. I do think that the best of this offense is certainly to come, and I think it could be pretty good. Not great, but pretty good. And I do think that means Jung-Hoo Lee leading off. Appreciate the call, Trenton. Let's go to Rich in Santa Clarita, the power of the flamethrower. Rich, you're on Sports Phone KNBR.
Hey, my man. How you doing, Urban? Good to hear from you.
Good to hear from you as well. What do you want to talk about?
Well, first of all, 2 things. One, you had me laughing hysterically. Thank you for that little analogy about Babe Ruth soiling his pants because the pitchers are just phenomenal.
Can you imagine what Camilo Doval would do to Babe Ruth?
That was awesome.
I mean, these
all
guys. Right. Walter Johnson, come on, get the hell out of here.
Wow. Yeah, you know your baseball stuff. That's a wonderful ghost from the old past.
He once threw a coin across a river, so clearly he was an all-time elite talent. No, game's changed a little bit. A lot of power, regardless.
Thank you for that. I scored the game tonight, sir, and
bless you.
And my whole thing is about Chapman. So in the second inning, he grounded out 5-3 to McMahon, who's probably the best player on the team currently with their injury.
Very good third baseman, too.
He did the same thing. What was that?
He's a very good third baseman, too. He's a Gold Glove finalist last year.
That's thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. In the 5th inning, I'm going to skip the walk for a second. In the 5th inning, McMahon had the bare hand to get Chapman out at first base.
That's right.
Just wanted to mention that because he was – when I called in the other day to carry Crowley, there was a lot about Chapman, so I'm rooting for him. He drew a walk in the 4th inning, which was really good. He fouled off 2 pitches and he had a strike on, and he drew the walk. And then our catcher Blake Sabell came up and hit a single, and Chapman hustled to third, and then Nick Ahmad came in on a bunt. I believe it was a bunt.
Well, he swung, but it looked like a bunt. Doesn't matter. Scored the run.
That's right. Chapman scored the first run. I'm just basically trying to say thank you, Matt Chapman. Thank you, Giant fans. Have the faith. And also the last thing I'll say to you, and I'll take your answer response off the radio because I know you got a lot to get to. Soler will come back. I didn't know about the impingement on his shoulder. I knew he got hit, and so he'll come back, and he's already got 5 home runs. He's going to be fine.
He will be fine.
Just give me my positive vibe on all of that, sir.
These are good positive vibes, and they're founded vibes from Rich in Santa Clarita. Let me throw some numbers at you with Matt Chapman. We mentioned the base running. We've seen that a couple of times this year. Obviously, Matt Chapman hasn't been on base all that often, so it's hard to really get a full picture of what he can do on the base paths. But he's been one of the best base runners in baseball. And as much as I can throw my hands up about, the Giants don't steal bases, when Matt Chapman's on base, he's getting the extra base. We saw him win a game that way, going from first to all the way home. We've seen help manufacture a run tonight off a walk. He's an outstanding base runner. That matters. That matters. It really does. There are some nice stats. I mean, I can tell you that he's 87th percent in all of baseball at base running run value. And then we can spend the next 3 hours figuring out what the hell that means. I can tell you what it means just from watching him. The dude takes extra bases. He reads the field exceptionally well, unsurprising given his defensive prowess. Gets a great read off the bat, and he takes the extra base. And the Giants have been very blessed with good third base coaches throughout the years. I don't know if Matt Williams is good or not, but I can tell you this. He's the most aggressive I've seen in quite a while. Matt Williams is not holding back. Matt Williams is giving you the go-ahead, and bless him for that, because heaven knows the Giants need as many opportunities to score runs as they can. There is no time for caution, given the offensive situation of this team. Other reasons to feel good about Matt Chapman and to feel like it's coming. One, he's just a generally streaky player. When he is up, he is as good as any hitter in baseball. But clearly, he's not as good as any hitter in baseball because of the down periods as well. And the down periods can get pretty rough. And you survive them with Matt Chapman. And I remember this from Oakland. I have a lot of Blue Jays fan friends. Say that 5 times fast. Listen, I got folks in Toronto, Kyle. Don't leave me out of this. I ride hard with the Canucks. Regardless, you're able to ride through it because, my God, what a glove. You go, well, worst case scenario, you have the best third baseman in baseball over there. So, yeah, he's not hitting. You drop him to 7th or 8th in the lineup, and you just let the man cook in the field because the good times are coming at the plate sooner rather than later. Now, let me tell you something about where Matt Chapman's at and why I feel like the breakout's coming. And tonight might have actually been the start of it. He had a hard hit ball. He gets the walk. Baby steps. You got to build up to it. It's not going to just show up and here's 3 home runs. You don't want that. That's flash in the pan. You want slow progression. You want to see him make better and better contact, better and better at bats. We're starting to see it now. Tonight was a good sign. It needs to build from here. Coors Field can help him in that regard. A lot of room to hit it to. I don't need a home run tomorrow, but I'd like to see a double. Let's see one go into the gap. Let's see him challenge maybe to go to third. How about a triple? Maybe I'm getting greedy. Regardless, Matt Chapman, 89th percent in all of baseball average exit velocity. When he is actually getting the bat to the ball, he's lacing it. He's lacing it. We talked about this with Jung-Hoo Lee last week. This guy was just roping it right to center fielders every time. And you go, eventually these are either going to start to fall in front of them or they're going to start to go left or right of them. But he's making really good contact, and sometimes the defense is just there. Matt Chapman doesn't make contact as much as Jung-Hoo Lee. The strikeouts are an issue. There's no question about it. But when he gets it, he hits it. 89th percentile in average exit velocity, 70th percentile in barrel percentage, 72nd percentile in hard hit. Now, when you look at when Matt Chapman's really right, you go to a StatCast page, and I know some of you all don't like the StatCast page, but it helps you tell the future sometimes. When you looked at what he was doing in 2022 and 2023, let's go to 2022. I think it was a slightly better year. Average exit velocity, 93rd percentile. Barrel percentage, 88th percentile. Hard hit percentage, 97th percentile. When this guy is right, when this guy is an all-star, when this guy is a borderline MVP candidate, as he has been in the past, he's doing a lot of the same stuff he's doing right now. The underlying numbers line up, and that tells me that it's about to start raining. That tells me that there's just a small adjustment, a little something. But if he gets into one, if he can get that barrel percentage up, if he can just start getting the right part of the bat onto the ball a little bit more often, it's going to do some serious damage. Now, I'm as impatient as anybody out there. I'm not telling you it's coming tomorrow. I do want to see the solid steps. I want to see the steady progression. It's going to have to build up a little bit. It's not going to just show up overnight because he isn't making a lot of contact. But tonight was a step in the right direction. Tomorrow can be another step. And if he gets a couple of steps down the line, he might start running. And I don't mean literally, even though he is a very good base runner. All right, let's take a quick break. Go back to the phone lines, and then I gotta spread the joy because hockey is back in the Bay Area. Sharks won the NHL draft lottery tonight, and you might think I'm being sarcastic. I couldn't be less sarcastic right now. I am amped. You should have heard me in the car when I heard that Macklin Celebrini is coming to the Bay, baby. We're going to talk about it after we talk about Giants baseball and Warriors basketball. Kurtenbach with you until 11 p.m. on the Sports Leader.
Sub Nation, dial the digits and dive in. 415-808-KNBR. Sports Phone KNBR continues right here and on the all-new KNBR app.
Fire up the crowd. Here's a swing and a hard one. Hopper up the middle, far to his right. Estrada gloves it. Jump throw to first, and he got him. What a play. Thairo Estrada off to the shortstop side of the bag. He was headed out towards shallow left center. And a perfect jump throw to first to get the out.
Thairo Estrada's playing some defense, folks. Bringing it at the plate, playing good defense. Has Thairo Estrada turned into one of the better players in all of baseball? Well, that's May 7th. We'll find out. I'm liking what I'm seeing. Hard to dislike where Thairo Estrada's at right now. Tough start, no doubt about it. But he brought the glove from day one. The bats come around. We know what he can bring to that part of the game. We know what he can bring to the Giants lineup. One game, not trying to make a mountain out of a molehill here. It's one game against the god-awful Rockies. We're not going to pretend as if everything is fixed with the Giants, but it's a step in the positive direction. And after quite a few steps backwards, they needed to start working in this direction. Let's see what they can do tomorrow. Fascinated to see what Jordan Hicks looks like at altitude. Fascinated to see what Keaton Wynn looks like at altitude. Because we saw Kyle Harrison. If anybody was going to win in altitude, it was Kyle Harrison. Because his stuff isn't that good. It just isn't. He wins on temperament. He wins on control. He's not bending the ball all over the place. He's not a big movement guy. His fastball's catching up to you. He's got good extension on it. But it doesn't have any cut, doesn't have any of that vertical break crap. It's just coming. It's not much to be affected by the altitude. And yeah, would I have liked to have seen him go a little bit later in the game tonight? Sure. 86 pitches at altitude, 22-year-old pitcher. It's probably right. I think Bob probably got it right. I think maybe I'm just being a bit old school, if you will. Rub some dirt on it, kid. Now, 86 pitches at altitude, first time. You can go 7. Here's Ryan Walker. Here's Camilo Doval. Grind out a couple of runs. Good win. Good win for the San Francisco Giants. Hopefully the start of a few wins in a row. Let's go to John. Ooh, in enemy territory, West Hollywood. John, you want to talk Giants baseball on the leader? The floor is yours.
I do. I'm Barry, man. Don't get the West Hollywood thing wrong.
No worries. We welcome all types. If you want to talk Giants baseball in a positive, sometimes even negative light, as long as you're not a Dodgers fan, we're happy to have you.
Hey, let Matt Chapman cook. I love that. Just let him cook. He's doing great. Whatever. He strikes out a lot. It's fine. He is our best defender. We don't care. And don't hate on Harrison. Harrison, you know what? He's beaten the Giants, or he's beaten other teams like other teams are beating the Giants. He's pounding the zone, and he's just making it happen.
There's no hate on Harrison. There's no hate on Harrison. I'm just stating. I think it's an objective fact. He does not have the kind of big-time stuff that we see from a lot of the really young, exciting pitchers in baseball. What he does have is very valuable, which is a temperament of you ain't beating me tonight. And if the stuff can get notched up a little bit, and I don't think that's going to happen in season. Stuff deteriorates as season goes along, and stuff is a big overarching term, right? But you get some miles, you get some tread on the tires, and the fastball doesn't have the same zip, and the curveball doesn't have the same curve, and all that stuff. But when you have that kind of temperament, you have a chance to win any game you want to go out there and win. And he wants to win all of them, even the games he's not pitching. This guy's got a great attitude, something you can't teach. If you take that stuff and you just add a little bit to it, not much, but a little bit, now you really got something. Because you already have something. Now you really got something. Now you got somebody who you get excited to see him every fifth day. Because right now, I got to be honest with you, I get a little nervous every fifth day. I get a little nervous with him. He's young. He can't rely on the stuff. He's got to get by on smarts and guile. And at 22 years old, that's not something that you can necessarily count on. But I'm being converted start by start. That's where I'm at.
I feel like this point in the season, it's crazy to say, but our two pitchers, Harrison and Hicks, are like the ones who are like okay, we have a chance today. It's kind of been a little erratic with everyone else.
Well, that's baseball for you in 2024, right? I mean, if the Giants are lucky, they can keep with the rotation that they have. We've already seen one major injury, though. I mean, how long was Blake Snell really even in the rotation? It's a tough racket these days when everyone's throwing 100 miles per hour. But the Giants are in a really good position. If they can keep eking out runs, they're in a good position to win the San Francisco Giants way. Pitching, defense, timely hitting. What a concept. It's one here a lot. And we can all point to modern Major League Baseball and launch angles and exit velocities and all that stuff and say, hey, that won't win anymore. Well, that's what they can offer. I think they can do it at a very high level. And I'm not totally convinced that it can't win in 2024, especially with offenses being down the way that they are across the league. We'll see what happens once it starts to warm up across the country, once it's no longer 42 degrees at the final pitch in Colorado. But I think the Giants have something here, and certainly they have something in Kyle Harrison. And this is a team that they need to start winning more games. There's no question about that. That is ultimately what it all comes down to. But they have not disqualified themselves from anything to this point. Now, they got to get it together. They got to win some more games. They got to get on a bit of a streak. I don't know if it's here or down the line or wherever. They can't dig themselves any deeper of a hole. But there's something here with this Giants team. I don't think that the optimism that we had about them before the season started was in any way unfounded. Am I off base on that?
It's weird to have them get swept by the Phillies and still feel optimistic, but I'm with you. I feel like this team is a good team. They're gonna come. The question I had, the one point I want to call in about is just like, we keep talking about the back of the baseball card. These guys are going to start showing up. Soler, Chapman. I mean, I don't want to talk about Chapman because Chapman's amazing at the hockey corner. But
he will. He will. I mean, like, I'll say it. Matt Chapman will start coming around. The numbers have not been good. The at-bats haven't looked good, but they're starting to get a little bit better, and the underlying metrics tell you that when it goes, it's going to go right, and it's going to go in a prodigious way.
Yeah, I'm just wondering, okay, we're looking, these guys are going to come around, but what about the talent, in Sacramento? Are we gonna let him come up? Like, I love Yastrzemski. I have his jersey. I was in Boston. I watched both his home runs at those games. Love Yastrzemski. But, like, do we have some guys that can come up and ignite this lineup a little bit more? And, like, how long are we going to wait? Melvin loves these guys. He's going to give them all the chances. But, like, how long until,
Well, I wish I could give you a date, but I'll tell you this. It won't be long if tonight is as good as it gets for a while. It won't be, because there's no other alternative. I mean, listen, I think Nick Ahmed is a professional baseball player. I think his glove is somehow still underrated. I think he's done marvelous things in the field. I like a lot of what Nick Ahmed is providing. Can you do better? Yeah. There's a reason that Marco Luciano was penciled into the starting shortstop job before spring training started. There's also a reason that he's in Sacramento right now. At the same time, you look at Elliot Ramos. He's had his chances before. They haven't worked out. He's killing it in Sacramento right now. Do you want to call him up today and kind of give him what would be most likely his last good shot? Probably not. I'll go back to this. These things have a way of taking care of themselves. I don't think that the Giants need to force anything right now. Now, if we get into a point where it's obvious that some shakeups need to be made, I don't need to tell you when that point is. We'll all know it. We'll feel it. Everyone's going to know when that point is. We're not there yet, not on May 7th. And ultimately, these guys are probably going to come up in a much more inauspicious way. They're going to come up because Nick Ahmed's injured. You don't want to play Tyler Fitzgerald at shortstop every day. They're going to come up because Mike Yastrzemski pulled his oblique or something. Not that we're wishing injury upon anybody, but this is usually how guys come up. And the question is, can they stay up once they're here? You look at Ramos, he's really the only guy who's having a good year in Sacramento right now. Luciano came out of the gates hot. He's cooled off considerably. I'm a big Luis Matos guy. I thought he deserved the job in right field coming out of camp with the way that Yaz and certainly Slater were playing, and Slater hasn't picked it up at all even since then. They gave the benefit of the doubt to the veterans. I thought they should have given the benefit of the doubt to the young guy. They didn't. They're looking correct. They stuck with Yaz. Yaz has come through. They're sticking with Slater. I don't think that's going to come through, but ultimately he's a platoon guy, And Ramos is probably the one that you want to call up instead of Matos right now in right field if you do need somebody else in the outfield. And then there's also Lamont Wade, who I think should be in the lineup every day. I don't think that we're at the point where this team needs an injection of youth. I think what this team needs is their star players, and let's not pretend as if Matt Chapman and Blake Snell aren't star players, that Jorge Soler, a World Series champion, a guy who's hit 40-plus home runs in Major League Baseball, isn't a star player. They need those guys to start playing like star players. And on May 7th, it's just simply too early to say it's never going to come around. And you and I are in agreement. It's going to come around with Chapman. And I think, we can have our opinions about Blake Snell, but if anybody deserves a benefit of the doubt, it's the reigning National League Cy Young winner, a two-time Cy Young winner. And honestly, I think Jorge Soler deserves it too. We'll see what happens with his injury and the impingement and the general Pedro Serrano of it all and his inability to hit breaking balls. But you don't have that kind of power anywhere else in your system, much less on your 40-man roster. You gotta give Soler a good, solid crack at it once he gets back into it. John, appreciate the call. Thank you very much. Good insight. That's where we're at. It kind of sucks that we're waiting on the players that you should be counting on to actually start putting up some counting stats. But that's where this team is at. And I'm fascinated to see what happens when they do, because they will. And when they do, is everybody else going to be in a good place to take advantage? Is everybody else going to be on base for them when they come to the plate? Is the defense going to continue to be excellent behind a Blake Snell? Are the Giants' bats going to back up Blake Snell if he starts pitching like a Cy Young pitcher again? Or is he going to get Logan Webbed? Is he going to go and get Matt Cained? It's happened before. Spent an entire season last year. The one pitcher you could count on night in, night out, couldn't count on his offense to give him any damn runs. So it is not together for this Giants team. We know that. They just got swept in Philadelphia. Yeah, they beat the Rockies tonight. They grinded it out. They scored 2 runs and the ball didn't leave the infield. Not telling you that the sky is falling, but I'm also telling you we got to see a little bit more before we start thinking everything's going to be hunky-dory. Honestly, just to get back to a point of level, they probably need to sweep Colorado. They need to go and they need to take care of business for 3 straight games in Colorado. By the way, you get Cincinnati this upcoming weekend. Cincinnati, they came out of the gates. They were hot as hell. Oh, boy, the Reds are here. Look at all that young talent. Well, they've fallen off now. They can't hit worth a lick. Their pitching is, well, it's kind of hard to tell. They basically play in the Coors Field of northern Kentucky, the Yankee Stadium of southern Ohio. What a ridiculous ballpark that is. If you think Oracle Park is ridiculous for its home run suppression, may I offer the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati as the exact opposite. I mean, anything that gets up in the air is leaving there. What a joke. How would you like to pitch there? Oh, great, I gave up a fly ball. I guess I got to wear a 7 in my ERA for the next 3 months. Awesome. What a joy. It's bad radio. It's bad radio, but let's talk on June 7th. Let's see where we're at a month from now. Because I'll tell you where we can't be. We can't be looking at a team that's 6-7 games back in the wild card. You can't be looking at a team that more or less has maintained what it's done to this point in the standings, right? They were 16-21. You can't have a team that, I guess at that point would be, 6-7 games under 500? You can't have it. Is that an insurmountable hole? No. But it becomes a bit of a problem when you have 8-9 teams in the National League that are all playing to be a game or two over 500. It's just a little bit crowded on the dance floor. And now you have to go on a legitimate streak. Now you got to win 8-9 in a row. Now you got to be the hottest team in baseball for a week or two just to get back to where you should have been. Right now, the Giants still have what they want within arm's reach. And what they want is going to keep traveling forward. The Giants need to stay in stride with them. Ideally, they start making up some ground. But they got to stay within stride by the time we get to June in order for this season to really mean anything. Can't win the division, can't win a wild card spot, certainly, in the first 2 months of the season, but you can sure as hell lose it. And the San Francisco Giants, I think, to this point, it's fair to say, for all the optimism that we had about this team, has underperformed. Is that a hot take? If that's a hot take, I don't know what we're doing here. It seems like the most obvious thing in the world to me. I think it's even more obvious to all of you. I think I'm on the optimistic side about this Giants team compared to what I've been hearing from the fan base. And by the way, can't disagree with anything you're pushing. Can't disagree with that. Very rarely do I find myself on the optimistic side of things compared to a fan base. So I am not discounting any of it. But we're also not at a point where we need to be panicking. And I don't think anyone did panic after the Phillies series. I did the show last night. We did it for 3 hours. I didn't hear any panic in anybody. Frustration? Hell yeah. I have it too. Annoyance? Get in line. Concern? Coming out of our ears. Tonight's a step in the right direction. They got to take a lot of steps in the right direction to get to where this team wants to go. I still think they got 90 in them. I really do. But they better get to getting on that 90 tomorrow, Wednesday, this weekend against Cincinnati. I got an idea. Let's just take a game off the Dodgers. Just next week, Dodgers come to town. A game. I'm not even asking to win the series. Take a game off the Dodgers. These are steps in the right direction. To this point, if we had to count them all up, Giants have taken more steps backwards. It's very early. Concern, annoyance, pessimism, absolutely. Panic, not yet. Not yet. And you will not need me to tell you when it's time to panic. I might be the first one to press the button, but trust me, I'm going to have a lot of hands joining me pressing that button if we get to that point. I think everything's going to be okay. And by the way, okay might be as good as it gets, but I think everything is going to be okay. And okay can get you into the tournament. And from that point on, let's have some fun. A long, long way between now and then. Plenty of time to screw it up. Plenty of time to get it right. I'd say that about this show, but we only got about 20 minutes left. Let's talk Warriors. Let's talk Sharks on the other side. Kurtenbach with you until 11 on the Sports Leader.
Nighttime is the right time for Sports Phone KNBR. Let's go on the sports leader. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
The first overall selection in the 2024 NHL Draft belongs to the San Jose Sharks.
Hell yeah, baby. Listen, I know a lot of you guys ain't hockey heads. I know that this is not subject number one on the rundown. I'm sure we'd all like to talk about Sacramento River Cats baseball. But let me tell you, the most important thing that happened in the Bay Area sports scene today happened somewhere in suburban New York when NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daley opened up an envelope with the San Jose Sharks logo and awarded them the number one overall pick. Now, there are some ping pong balls that ultimately did that for him. Apparently, the Sharks got the number one overall pick with the ping pong draw like 3 times in a row. Fate refused to let the Sharks finish second. But the Sharks, for 25 years, they moved to San Jose. What was it? They played 2 years at the Cow Palace. And then they moved to San Jose. And for 25 years, they missed the playoffs 4 times. Now, they didn't win the Stanley Cup. They only went once. But they were in the mix all but 4 times in 25 years. And that's going to garner you a lot of fans. And what's happened the last 5 years is going to lose you a lot of fans. Because it all fell apart, not by design, but it fell apart. The last great moment we had with Sharks hockey, the major penalty, Game 7, Golden Knights. What a moment. One of the coolest sports experiences I've ever been a part of. Not that I was on the ice or anything, but I'm sitting in the rafters in whatever they call a press box at the SAP Center, and I'm like, this is a moment. Klay Thompson's 37-point quarter, all the Steph Curry flurries, World Series championships, 49ers going to the Super Bowl. I've been to some stuff. That was a moment, and I have had nothing to latch onto with the Sharks since then. I'm the columnist for the San Jose paper, damn it. I want to talk some Sharks hockey. And tonight, the Sharks were saved. It's going to be a while yet before they start winning some games. It is. The rebuild is really just getting started. They're 2 years into a true rebuild. They've traded away Burns. They've traded away Hurdle. They've traded away Carlson. They've traded away Meyer. They lost Jumbo Joe. Pavelski left. They have lost some greats. Some legitimate greats. Hall of Fame greats. And I don't want to put too much on young Macklin Celebrini's shoulders because they're 17 years old. But this kid has a chance to be great. He's going to go number one in the draft. If that name rings a bell to you, if you're not a hockey fan, you're going, Celebrini, what is it? Rick Celebrini, the Warriors trainer, also sort of their de facto head coach because he decides what the rotations are and who should be in the lineup every night. You've heard a lot of people with the Warriors talk about Rick Celebrini over the years. They believe he is a guru, that he transcends the job of trainer and is something more metaphysical than that. He's a miracle worker. You should hear the way the Warriors talk about Rick Celebrini. The Warriors players, Warriors coaches, the organization. Rick Celebrini might be the most valued dude in that operation. Macklin Celebrini is his son. And Macklin Celebrini is going to go number one overall to the San Jose Sharks next month. They're going to do the draft at the Sphere in Las Vegas. That should be pretty cool. And Macklin Celebrini, he might not be Connor Bedard, the generational talent that went to the Blackhawks last year with the number one overall pick. He might not be Connor McDavid, the best player in the NHL these days. But, man, he ain't far off. And he's exactly what you need if you are a team trying to get this thing right. You want to talk about the Sharks rebuild? They have ripped this thing down. They ripped out the foundation. They sold the screws. There's not even a stud to build upon. They were able to put one up tonight. They sucked this year, and it paid off. Macklin Celebrini, 6 foot, 190-pound center, two-way player, plays the full 200 feet of the ice. I'm telling you right now, I've seen this guy before. Not just at BU, where he played and he won the Hobie Baker. It's going to be the first Hobie Baker. That's the college hockey Heisman. First Hobie Baker winner to go number 1 overall. He's the 4th freshman in the history of the Hobie Baker Award to win it. The other 3, Paul Correa, Adam Fantinelli, who went 3rd overall last year, and Jack Eichel, who won the Stanley Cup for the Golden Knights last year. One of the better players in the league. Elite company. This kid won it at 17 years old. He was a year younger than even his freshman class. Won it at 17 years old. 200-foot player. I've seen this guy before. He's the second coming, and if you know a little bit about hockey, you know about this guy. He's the second coming of Jonathan Toews. Blackhawks center, 3-time Stanley Cup winner. Might not get the big stats. Might not put up 115 points a season. Might not score 50 goals or have 100 assists. I guess it's more like 80 these days. But he's going to make the right play every single time. And the players around him are going to be levels better because he's their centerman. Your penalty kill is going to be great. Your power play is going to be great. This kid has a chance to completely turn around the San Jose Sharks to the point where I can talk about him at an hour before the final 10 minutes of the final show of the night. We're going to be talking some Sharks hockey at some point here in the not-too-distant future, and the reason is because they won the draft lottery tonight. I am amped because you look at the landscape of Bay Area sports right now, you got to be real about this. Warriors arrow, it's pointing down. I don't know which way the Giants arrow is pointing. It's level, maybe. I don't know. Doesn't feel like it's up. Doesn't feel like it's down. I don't know. Warriors down. Niners up, but this feels a little bit like a last dance for the Niners that we have come to know and love. Now, it's not to say that the second iteration, the Brock Purdy 49ers, can't be just as good, maybe even better. It's just to say that some changes are coming down the pipeline in the not-too-distant future for the San Francisco 49ers. Look at the draft. They were telling you, we got to rebuild on the fly because we're going to start losing a lot of these guys that we paid big money to. Their contracts are ending. We got to have some young, fresh talent in here to keep us at a high level. Niners are in a precarious spot. Warriors are over the hill. Unless you think Jonathan Kuminga is going to turn into an NBA All-Star, I'm not in your camp. The Giants, they're hanging in there. The A's are about to hightail it out of town. I don't know if you're into ACC football, but Stanford and Cal are going to be playing there next year. I don't know how into WNBA basketball you're going to be in a couple of years. San Jose Earthquakes suck. We're going to be looking for something. And I think the San Jose Sharks might be that something. Going to be a little bit. Going to be a minute. This might be the last Shark segment for quite a while on these airwaves. But I'm telling you, there's something's happening there that's worth keeping an eye on. And if you have even a slight affinity for the stick and puck, tonight was a big night for you. By the way, Avalanche came back from a 3-0 deficit to beat the Stars in overtime. In a 2-overtime game, New York Rangers beat the Carolina Hurricanes. Is there anything in the world I love more than turning on a playoff hockey game about halfway through in the spring? The answer is no. I love it so much, so very much, and I cannot wait for that day, that inevitable day when the Sharks are back in the playoffs and they start rolling this thing like they had it for the 25 years prior to this last 5-year dearth. Talking about the Warriors there, talking about their trainer, Klay Thompson. I want to talk about Rick Celebrini's biggest fan, Klay Thompson. Helped him get back on the court after those 2 catastrophic injuries. And yesterday, Shams Charania, serial mispronouncer of names and NBA newsbreaker, was saying, hey, the Orlando Magic batting some eyes at Klay Thompson, and Klay Thompson batting some eyes back at the Orlando Magic. Klay Thompson's a free agent this offseason. He has the right. He got a hall pass from the Warriors. He has the right to start making eyes with other teams. And let me just jump the gun on Shams here for a moment. There's also mutual interest between Klay Thompson and the Philadelphia 76ers. And there's going to be mutual interest between Klay Thompson and the San Antonio Spurs. And there's going to be mutual interest. Well, maybe not mutual. We'll see, because I think the Thunder are going to win the title. But maybe there will be mutual interest between the Thunder and Klay Thompson this offseason. All of this to say Klay Thompson's going to go out there and he's going to Aaron Judge this thing. I wouldn't get too worried about Klay Thompson batting eyes at other teams right now, because we know what happened with the Warriors before the season started. They gave him a 2-year, $48 million offer, and he was offended. Now, I would argue that's his fair market value, and I would argue that he didn't do anything from that point on to improve that value. But the market gets to decide that now. And if the Orlando Magic want to throw Klay Thompson $35 million a year, he might just take it. I'm not saying he's bluffing. What I am saying is he's working it. He's going to be out here, and he's going to force the Warriors to up their offer. And he's going to do that by testing the market. We saw that happen with Aaron Judge. We've seen that happen with so many guys with the San Francisco Giants. And hell, we've seen it happen with the Warriors. Draymond Green, remember the Detroit Pistons flirting? A little bit of Phoenix Suns flirting? Guess what? He got his new contract. I ultimately think Klay comes back. But we're going to be hearing a lot about Klay Thompson and other teams over the next couple of months. And while I don't think that it's all that serious, it's not to say it can't become that way. Welcome to NBA free agency. You want a story? We got one for you. Klay Thompson. Appreciate everybody who called in tonight. Thanks to Kyle for running this whole thing. Heaven knows how he did it. Overnight Dave showed up. Shout out Overnight Dave. Again, shout out everybody who called in. Great calls tonight. Really do appreciate it. I think Carrie's back. Maybe it's Lasky. Who the hell knows? They'll have a different person in here tomorrow. I'm going back to the bullpen. I'll see you when I see you. Until then, have a great night, everybody, and go Sharks.